Starting us off in at number 10, Chica and Foxy. One quick Google search for these two and you'll be privy to a plethora of fan art depicting the pirate fox and the insatiable chicken making love eyes at one another, kissing, and in some fan art, seemingly straddling one another. Yeah. It's a thing. Whether it's because Chica's bossiness and Foxy's bad boy persona fit well together, or it's because the idea of a chicken and a fox romantically falling in love with one another is appealing to some, the ship has gotten some serious love online from fans. Moving on to number 9, Springtrap and Golden Freddy. Now for those of you a little less familiar with the Five Nights franchise, Springtrap is a character who first appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and then appeared in subsequent games. He's the main and only corporeal antagonist in that third game, and is the mutated corpse of William Afton that's been trapped inside of a very badly damaged animatronic bunny suit that appears to be an early iteration of Bonnie. So yeah, this ship is with a reanimated corpse and a Golden Freddy, who is a mysterious ghost-like yellow version of Freddy. I mean, when you look at it like that, it does kind of make sense then, huh? Moving on to something equally as disturbing, in at number 8, Circus Baby and Funtime Freddy. Personally, I find Circus Baby incredibly unsettling. Just look at her, She's the mascot of Circus Baby's Pizza World, a sister location to Freddy's, as implied in the title of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, the 4th game in the series. She is the focal animatronic in that game, and she is terrifying. So it makes sense that she would be shipped with Funtime Freddy, a white and pink version of Freddy found at Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. Aesthetically, they actually look pretty good together, I suppose. And this version of Freddy is actually quite nice to children, rarely expressing a psychotic side, and has a puppet named Bon Bon who kinda looks like Bonnie, who tries to calm him down often. So,
In at 7, Springtrap and Mangle. Springtrap and Mangle is one of the ships that was suggested the most in the comments of cringy FNAF ships, and I can see why. Firstly, what the hell? Okay, why would you even consider these two to be a good pairing? Second, isn't Mangle possessed by a dog? Like, didn't we settle on this? Like, William used Mangle and Susie's dog as like a remnant experiment to see if he could actually get robots to be possessed? Or have we forgotten about that for some reason? And I mean like a literal animal as well, like not he a dog, like he's literally a dog. Like this is borderline Beauty and the Beast kind of thing going on here. Like, what the living f are you people thinking? We're shipping a serial killer who only kills kids and a goddamn actual animal possessing an animatronic. Like, I don't know what's going on anymore. Why are we like this? This makes me want to actually leave the community and stop making FNAF videos. Like, why is this a thing? I don't want to be associated with this. So, because of that, we're moving on.
in at number 6, Golden Freddy and Chica. Because they're yellow. Actually, that is the main reason why this ship is a ship. Sometimes it's all about aesthetics for people. Moving on.
Halfway through, in at number 5, Ennard and Ballora. This is a whole other kind of weird. Like, we have some messed up stuff coming up in the next few numbers, but this is a little self-gratifying, if you ask me. Did anyone realize that Ballora was a part of Ennard when they were drawing these? Cause like, that's a whole other can of worms that's just trying to bust out that I'm ignoring cause I don't want to look at it. In fact, this whole fishing shop is giving me weird vibes. This is just... Plus, if you think about it, Ballora was intended on being a surrogate mother, and then in Ennard is baby. Ennard is in part baby, meaning that this ship is in essence Elizabeth with her mother. Like, not literally, thank God, although I'm positive that it's out there somewhere. I don't have the courage to look that up. Like, what the heck? What the hell? Like, what's the point of this? Seriously, no jokes. Why do people ship animatronics? I don't get that mindset. It's not like they're gonna make any of these canon, because again, they're animatronics. It's weird. Although I guess it's not as bad as like shipping like people together, like real people, not characters. Like, instead of shipping Peter and MJ, you ship Tom and Zendaya. I mean, like, that would be weirder if they weren't dating, but like if you ship two like actual humans that aren't dating, that's weird. They are dating, right? I thought that was confirmed.
In at number 4, Freddy and Bonnie. Freddy and Bonnie, because LGBTQ ships are a thing in horror games too. Right? The game is called Five Nights at Freddy's after all, so he's kind of like our protagonist antagonist in all of this shipping, so it makes sense Freddy would get a good ship. And Bonnie is his cool guitar playing bandmate who he has had a romantic entanglement with, or at least according to all the fan art and fan fiction that has popped up about these two on the interwebs. Make what you will of their maybe romance, but it is undeniable that these two are a killer pair. See what I did there? They got murder down packed.
Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Springtrap and Baby. This is even worse than the Michael one, because not only is Springtrap again the father of the girl possessing Baby and the direct cause of her death, but this girl is also knee-high to a grasshopper at the time of her death. Do you realize how absolutely disgusting that is? When I looked up Springtrap X, as I was doing for most of these numbers, this is one of the first ones that came up. And you know what? That's just wrong. This is shameful. It's even worse than the Michael one. I'm not even joking. Who on God's green earth thought that this was a good idea? And before you defend yourself saying it's the character of Baby, firstly, William designed Baby to appeal to his daughter. Secondly, the only version of the Baby character that we know of is the one that Elizabeth is possessing. I feel like everyone who ships this needs a long, hard talk with Chris Hansen and that Russian guy on TikTok who is catfishing adults with a 14-year-old profile and then scaring them so bad they never did it again. Like, holy sweet Jesus, this is messed up. This is one of the 2 things that I hate the most in the world, and I don't even want to think about how people can actually be shipping this for real. So we're moving on. That's not my, I'm mad about this. I'm mad.
In at number 2, Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica. I guess there's something about the 2 of these characters looking more cutesy together that gets fans really into the idea that they'd make, dare I say it, a cute couple together. Toy Bonnie is a much newer version of Bonnie who is much more shinier and blue and appears to have undergone the most drastic changes aesthetically compared to Bonnie's previous model. Toy Chica is a similar creation, a newer model and one that feels like she has more feminine traits than the original Chica. Perhaps this is why these 2 have become the focus of a whole lot of fan art in which they romantically embrace one another. Luckily, it's a little bit more PG than some of the others. Thank God. And last but not least, the most horrific ship of them all, in at number 1, Springtrap and Mangle. I mean, obviously, look at them. Ah. Also, they both hate children too, so what a pair! Just taking a look at both of these partially destroyed animatronics, and you can clearly see that they're a match made in heaven. And actually, they're another popular pair that has a whole lot of fan art kicking around the interwebs, but mostly fan art that depicts their bodies not completely destroyed, or mangled for lack of a better term there. Some have even gone as far as naming this ship Springle, which makes me think of Pringles. And now I kinda want a snack, so there we go.
In at 10, Freddy and Chica. This is actually just because of the thumbnail for the original Scary Fan Ships video, because I remember making that thumbnail and it was a traumatizing experience. Why do people ship animatronics anyway? Or like, the characters. Like, what's the point? What's the amusement in it? Like, there's no way that, especially in this series, any of these characters are going to be confirmed to be dating. Like, I can understand shipping characters that might get together, like on TV shows like Bones or Arrow, but these characters are just giant animals, so what's the point of trying to ship them? I'm not usually one to yak someone's yick, but like, come on. Seriously, I don't understand it. And I mean, like, a bear and a chicken? Do you know the size difference there? I couldn't even, like, I don't even care about the size difference of the characters. I'm talking about the actual animals because I can't wrap my head around it, okay? Although, a chicken the size of a bear would be a good source of protein. In at 9, Baby X Puppet. Okay, why? Like, what the ever-loving hell is this? I search up cringe FNAF ships, like I'm not gonna get weird ads from it, and the first thing I see is Baby and the Puppet. Do you realize that these are like dead people, right? Like, one of them is the daughter of the dude that killed the other. Like, this is some serious star-crossed lovers BS, cause that makes absolutely no sense. This is worse than Romeo and Juliet with guns. Like, this is worse than the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet modern day movie. And even if you are shipping the characters, why? Why do the puppet and baby deserve to be together? Like, what? One of them was designed to take lives, literally, and the other was designed to guard a girl so that her life wasn't taken. This is some serious reaching, and I mean like Mr. Fantastic level reaching. Not to mention that there are literally 3-year-olds possessing these animatronics. So I don't know what kind of creep level you're on, but I can hear Chris Hansen knocking on your door, trying to ask you some questions. Like, bro, seriously, that's more sus than Gregory venting. Hop on the sus bus, bro, here we go. And it ain't Roxy and Monty. Being the newest additions to the FNAF roster, it was inevitable that these two characters would end up being shipped. But why? They're robots. They don't have the capacity for actual emotions. Everything they feel or seem to feel is just coded as their personality. They don't really have any actual emotions. It's impossible. So why ship these characters? And the reason I went with Roxy and Monty is because I looked up Roxy and the first ship suggestion was Monty, followed by Chica, which is a whole other level of weird because like what? Plus Chica is mine. The only Chica ship I allow is me and Chica because it's the only thing that makes sense. But seriously, I don't see the fascination with this. These two specifically, like Roxy and Monty seem like your typical Instagram gym rat couple that fight all the time unless they're at the gym, but you can't see it because, you know, it's Instagram. So I don't know why you people think that this is A, a good idea, or B, normal. Speaking of not normal.
And at 7, Ennard and Exotic Butters. Ah yes, a joke ship. Ennard is a terrifying amalgamation of the Circus Baby's Pizza World animatronics, like all of them. And Exotic Butters? Well, that is an item from Sister Location that's given to the player as a gift after you get the good/fake ending. On night 5 in the elevator, Hand Unit will tell you that you got a reward for doing exceptional work, and you're instructed to type in the first few letters of what gift you want on your keypad. But no matter what you type in, it glitches and autocorrects to Exotic Butters. As you can imagine, it became a meme, largely thanks to Markiplier.
And at 6, Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I thought that this was fairly normal, but looking this up, this was generally not safe for the majority of audiences. This is some of the most concerning fan art that I have ever seen. Like seriously, I'm gonna need some actual eye bleach after this. So if you could please just refrain from posting anything like this in the future, I would really appreciate it. Like none of the drawings that I saw were friendly. They all had something exposed, and sometimes had multiple somethings. Like, Bonnie is supposed to be a male character, okay? And in the fan art, sometimes he was, sometimes he wasn't. Sometimes they were both. Like, same thing with Chica, okay? And honestly, it's not that like I'm against it or anything. It's just, it's disturbing when it's animatronics that are anthropomorphic animals, okay? I mean, like, these animatronics, they're robots. They don't really have genders or biological sexes, because, again, they're robots, so who really cares? But, like, what the hell? These are as intense as a heart attack. Like, Jesus. It was just Easter, and this is the reason Jesus didn't come back this time. Although, from the context of these images, in this case, we already got a second coming. Ironically, Bonnie is a bunny, and so is the Easter Bunny. But for real, this is some haunting stuff. Plus, again, Chica's mine, so back on. Halfway through into number 5, Springtrap and Michael. Oh yes, like I said, the only way it could get worse was if he was being shipped with a family member that he ended up causing the death of. And here we are. The Springtrap x Michael ship is one of the most horrific things I've ever witnessed. And honestly, even talking about it, I kinda wanna hurl. And before you get mad at me saying William didn't cause the death of Michael or Crying Child, yes he did. He was the one who superpowered the Fredbear animatronic and gave it the ability to crush a skull. And before you try using the whole, if someone holds your hand under a hydraulic press, it's not the person who made the hydraulic press's fault on me, okay? These two things are entirely different scenarios. In this case, this is like someone pushing me onto a fence that is labeled as a normal fence, but then someone came along and made it an electric fence without anyone knowing. In that case, the person who made the fence electric is at fault. Secondly, William, by killing people and causing his son to feel immense remorse, caused his other son to die. By killing people, he set his fate as being stuck in the FNAF 6 location, one that Michael felt the need to be at to ensure his father's destruction, which caused him to be trapped inside since Henry never provided an exit. And you wanna ship them? Knowing they're related. Y'all are In at 4, Springtrap and Sans. This is just, this is worse than Ennard and Exotic Butters, honestly. Like, why are you shipping Springtrap with Ness? Get it? Because Sans is Ness. That's not even a character in the series, for God's sakes. Like, that is cringe. How the ever-loving hell does that even work? There are whole Instagram accounts revolving around this concept, and I don't know if it's a joke or not. Like, who thought of this? What made this idea come to life? How many illicit substances were you on at the time of conception? How many cigarettes did you smoke? How much wine did you, how much sushi did you eat when you were inseminated with this idea? Sans is like a 2-foot tall skeleton boy, and Springtrap is a possessed, supposed to be dead serial killer who has taken more lives than years that Sans has lived. Okay, not really, but you get my point, right? Like, the balance here is just all kinds of confusing. Like when I saw who Vanessa Morgan was engaged to at one point, like the girl from Riverdale who was engaged to the football player that was like twice her height and 3 times her width. How does that even work? Sans would need an actual ladder to actually even have a conversation, let alone kiss anyone. Not even like a step ladder, like an actual ladder. I wouldn't even bat an eye if they were using one of the extending ladders that fire trucks have. Like, yeah, this is all kinds of screwy. And this is in part the reason I need to bleach my eyes, honestly.
Moving on to number 3, Bonnie and Chica. Sometimes these two are imagined as being best pals. Other times in fan art, these two are a romantic item. Now they're kind of the most obvious ship in the game, sorry Freddy, with Bonnie being the cool guitar player and Chica the backup singer who clearly has the hots for him. Anyway, there's a whole lot of fan art of these two, but nothing compares to this other iteration of their ship.
And ultimately, in at number 2, Mike and Baby. Shipping Michael and Baby is very similar to shipping Vanny and Burntrap, considering how Baby is definitely going to be a bigger antagonist later in the series, or at least has the potential to be, since in the FNAF 6 ending she wanted to impress dear old dad. But this time around, it has the added layer of Michael and Baby being siblings. Yes, if you don't remember, somehow, Baby is possessed by the spirit of Elizabeth, William's daughter, and more importantly in this situation, Michael's sister. You can tell me that it's the character you're shipping all you goddamn want, but in this instance, you are shipping a character who in that reality, in that world, is a real human. Therefore, you would have to be shipping them with the animatronic that is also real. And just how would that have to work from a logical standpoint? That's just how it would have to work from a logical standpoint. Therefore, you are literally shipping Michael and his dead sister. And that is the most cringe-worthy thing that I have ever seen. Okay, well, the second cringiest, because this next one, oh boy, is it a doozy. And I've mentioned this many times before, but as of like a month ago, for reasons that I will not explain, I have a vendetta against this so I am tearing him to shreds as much as I can. Finally, in at number 1, Springtrap and anyone. Okay, Springtrap is one of the most confusingly Rule 34'd characters I have ever seen. There have been multiple people who have DM'd me on Instagram saying that they're in love with Springtrap, and then there are others who have sent me ruled art of Springtrap, along with the reason that caused me a great deal of pain that I'm not going to talk about. But let's get one thing straight, okay? No matter who you are shipping, Springtrap and whoever, you are shipping them with a possessed serial killer who probably took their lives to begin with, who should be dead but is being kept alive by the spirit of their dead son. There is no Springtrap character, okay? The character is Springluck Bonnie. But using the name of Springtrap, you are actively shipping the William Afton version of Spring Bonnie. And let's say you're shipping him with any of the original 5 animatronics. It doesn't matter who, okay? Boom! You're shipping him with one of his victims because, again, he is in that real world a person. Same thing as Michael, okay? Ship him with the puppet, boom, his first victim. With Baby, boom, that's his daughter. The amount of let's call it love that this character gets is frightening, and in reality it showcases the daddy issues you all have. And normally that would be fine, but in this instance this is like, was your father Jeffrey Dahmer? God. In at 10, Springtrap and Ballora. This is probably the most sane one out of all of these ships, but sane does not mean not cringe. First of all, Ballora and Springtrap are not married, like I saw at least one comment, but seemingly multiple suggest in the previous ships list. That's not a thing. They're animatronics, and there is no evidence that Ballora is possessed. either by a Mrs. Afton or literally anyone, despite the novels having the fun times being injected with the remnant of the 5 original animatronics. There's no evidence for that in the games. And while Ballora could have been created as a surrogate mother or a representation of a woman that Afton loved or couldn't have or whatever the story ends up actually being, this is still all kinds of weird. Like, what are you people doing? Bro, do you realize that this is a serial killer trapped in a robot suit? Right? Like this isn't just your old run-of-the-mill ship. In fact, none of these are. To put it into a different perspective, you're basically shipping Jeffrey Dahmer with a robot woman. You're shipping Ted Bundy with a fembot, for God's sakes. Like, does that really seem normal to you? Because it shouldn't. And at 9, Springtrap X Matt. Now, I'm not quite sure what this is shipping because there was no way in hell that I was putting that in my search history. But when I looked up Springtrap X, this was one of the suggestions. Springtrap and Matt. Now, I'm fairly certain that this is talking about the Springtrap and the Matt from the Fazbear Frights book Bunny Call, where a video game designer named Matt ends up giving birth to a real-world version of Springtrap. But a load of people guessed or assumed that this Matt was intended to be a reference to Matt Pat of Game Theory, which is honestly pretty terrifying. But now, people have begun shipping the characters. And the only reason this is higher on the list instead of lower is because this is only my suspicion, because again, there was no way in any dimension or universe that I actually clicked that suggestion. No way in living hell would I ever do that. Not if hell froze over, not if pigs could fly, not if butterflies flew out of my ass, not if a dinosaur head popped out of my butt and ate my coffee table. No, not a chance in literally any dimension. And I subscribe to the many worlds theory, much like how you should subscribe to the channel, so technically there should be a dimension where I clicked it, but not this time. No sir. And it ate Springtrap and Vanny. Now, I'd like to point out to the jury that Springtrap is a serial killer trapped inside a robot, but also that they do not exist as of Security Breach when Vanny is introduced, since at this point Springtrap has turned into Burntrap. So, for this to work, there would need to be a load of shenanigans, since for Vanny to be created, Springtrap has to become Scraptrap, and then burn in FNAF 6, releasing his soul to possess the hard drive that gets scanned into Help Wanted, that then takes over our brains as Vanessa in Help Wanted. So, for Vanny to be created, Springtrap has to die. Neither can live while the other survives, as the Harry Potter prophecy says. So, like, how on earth are we supposed to ship Springtrap and Vanny when it's literally impossible? This is why I don't like these kinds of things, okay? It makes me think, and it just seems impossible. Like, I don't want to think about the lore implications of shipping animatronics. This is all kinds of cursed, and it actually physically hurts me. I feel physical pain, like someone stabbed me. And at number 7, Ennard and Exotic Butters. This is just... what the actual shipping animatronics based on characters is one thing. Sure, shipping a collection of animatronics with no discernible character is another, but then shipping that amalgam with a basket of butter is totally a different thing. That honestly makes me feel incredibly cursed. Like, what the actual ever-loving hell is that? How does that even, like, how would that even... It's a basket of butter, people! It doesn't even have eyes, let alone the capacity to love. Why is Ennard and Exotic Butters even a thing? This is one of the most confusing moments of my life, including what happened literally a year ago, probably to the week. I have debated just like letting this whole thing be a run-on sentence because I can't handle the amount of buffoonery that is going on in order to cause this to even cross someone's mind. Then, like, this is the kind of thing that makes me question ships altogether, like in every single aspect of reality. Because you can argue that it's the characters you're shipping all you want, okay? But this disproves that concept in my mind. Like how one person does something and then the entire class gets punished. Yeah, you can blame the Ennard x Exotic Butters shippers for making the entire concept of shipping characters and whatever ridiculous, okay? And that's not even the worst one. We're not even halfway done. And at 6, Springtrap and Golden Freddy. Now, in the previous ships video, I mentioned how shipping Springtrap with anyone was cringe, but specifically the original 5 animatronics, since each one are one of his victims, and a kid. Golden Freddy is no exception. Remember people, since Springtrap is the combination of Spring Bonnie and William Afton, who by all means is a real person in their reality, this means you are shipping this person with the animatronic version of Golden Freddy, which is filled with the rotting corpse of Cassidy. Cause some consider Cassidy to be the one you should not have killed, and while those who think that are wrong, that would only add yet another layer of to this already messed up ship. You people need to stop this. The only way that it could get worse was if he is shipped with a family member that he ended up causing the death of. Oh wait, yeah. It's not on this list because it was too much for a whole number, but there is also a Springtrap and Crying Child ship that I think needs to be investigated by the authorities or something, because like that's not even like daddy issues, okay? That's mental issues. Plus, again, like the Vanny thing, impossible lore-wise.
In at number 5, Foxy and Mangle. To some, this is a joke ship. To others, it's a ship to be taken seriously. Many consider this couple to be relatively canon too, sort of. Context time. Mangle is an animatronic that first showed up in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It is also known as Toy Foxy or Funtime Foxy, but a mangled up version of an iteration of Foxy that has a smaller nose. Now her backstory is that she was an attempt at remaking Foxy since the original Foxy was too scary. But kids kept breaking this animatronic and it became a mess of parts known to employees as the Mangle. Now Mangle is often referred to as female thanks to the custom night mode Ladies Night. So there you go.
And at 4, Springtrap and Sans. You know what? I'm gonna say what I said last time I brought this up because honestly, this is worse than almost anything else on this list. Like, why are you shipping Springtrap with Sans? That's not even a character in the series, for God's sakes. That is cringe. How the ever-loving duck does that work? There are like whole Instagram accounts that I've seen revolving around this concept, and I don't know if you're joking or not. Who thought of this? What made this idea come to life? How many recreational substances were you on? Like, Sans is a 2-foot tall skeleton boy, and Springtrap is a dead serial killer who's taken more lives than years Sans has lived. Like, not really, because Sans is like 2 million years old, but that's even more weird. Like, do you see my point? The balance also is just kind of confusing. Okay, it's like someone who's like really short married to someone who's like 6 feet. It's like a 5-foot tall person being married to a 7-foot tall person. How does that even work? What? Like, Sans would need an actual ladder to have a proper conversation with Springtrap, let alone anything else. Like, not even a step ladder. Okay, you would need like an actual ladder. I wouldn't even bat an eye if they were using one of the extending ladders that fire trucks have on the top. Yeah, this is all kinds of screwy, and besides, at that scale, he's below level 2, so what's the point? Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Vanny and Burntrap. This one is just all kinds of wrong. Firstly, this is the most Stockholm Syndrome thing to the goddamn max. Okay, like Vanny is literally being kept captive inside of her mind by Burntrap to a point where she literally fears for her life when her shrink finds out she bought fabric for a costume. She's under his command at basically any time, and then you people want to ship her with the body of a dead serial killer trapped in an animatronic that was then repossessed by the same dead serial killer's sentient code form. Do I need to explain how messed up that is? Really? Like, bro, we thought William was rotting before, now he is literally rotten. Now it is finally his corpse version. Like, what the hell? Who, the ever-loving flying thought that this was a sane combination? Like, don't get me wrong, Vanessa is looking fly as hell in the base game. The sass when interrogating Freddy certainly got me moving. But this is messed up. Like, at least ship her with an alive serial killer. And ultimately, in at number 2, Springtrap and the Puppet. While this isn't as messed up, okay, there has been an awful amount of fan art about this ship that honestly makes me want to yak. Firstly, this is William's first victim, guys, so like, why would you ship them together? Secondly, the amount of art that I've seen where I have seen them with a baby is too much, like a literal child, okay? People, these are robots, and one of them is a killer trapped inside of a robot with no vital human recreating organs existing. So, Why are you trying to make them have babies? Please, for the love of everything that is holy, unholy, persistent, illegitimate, dark light, whatever you want to praise, for the love of it, please stop. It's wrong, it's horrifying, it's one of the most messed up things that I could think of. However, it still doesn't top our #1 spot. And you'll see why in a minute. I can't handle this. Why? Why would you do this? This was originally going to be #1. But I just didn't want to give the people who do ship this the satisfaction of it being on the top of the list. Because even though that would mean that it's the cringiest ship of them all, they ship the puppet in Springtrap, so clearly they can't understand logic and they would just see #1 and be happy. And finally, in at #1, Springtrap X Reader. This feels like a personal attack if I'm being frankly honest, because you know what, if I read one of these I would have been the reader and I don't want that to happen. #1. This was the #1 search when I looked up Springtrap X, okay, Springtrap X Reader, and I don't even want to know how that works. Like, I know how it works, but I don't want to know how someone reading a fanfic would end up falling in love with Springtrap, a literal animatronic man serial killer hybrid. What the everlasting, sweet, holy Jesus is going on with this community? These are the kinds of people who send Polaroids to serial killers who are in prison for life. I don't understand it anymore. I need to take a shower, sit on the ground, and cry for the entire weekend, because this is just what? How does one even come up with the concept for falling in love with an animatronic man hybrid? If it was Chica, I'd understand. But Springtrap, he is one of the most Rule 34 animatronics out there for seemingly no reason, because I just want death now. The fact that people are falling in love with William Afton's filleted body stuck with a bunch of robotic parts, and I can't get a girl to stick around for more than a couple days, is pretty damn ridiculous. Maybe I should, like, finally cave and let this series turn me into the maniac I'm probably going to become, because apparently they get all the girls.